Welcome, everybody, to the NFL Presidential Address for Week 7. I'm Lawrence Presman, co-founder of WagerTalk.com and professional sports bettor since 1999. So this week, we have a different format set up for you guys. We're only going to be doing 2 videos. This video will cover my 4 best totals of the week. The next video will cover my 4 best ATS side plays of the week. So make sure to check out both. Let's start right away, guys. Thursday night football. Jacksonville going into New Orleans. It is -1 to 1.5 for New Orleans. The total in this game has been bet down from 40.5 to 39.5, and I completely agree. Let's go through this. First and foremost, New Orleans is the under team of all time. They have gone under the total 12 games in a row and 15 of their last 16. This is a team, and I mentioned this last week, that is extremely consistent. They know who they are, and they play to exactly that. They win or lose 17-14, 17-13 type games on a regular basis, and we can pretty much always count on their games being low scoring. With that said, of course, the line makers continuously try to adjust the line. It's why we now have a line under 40, but I still don't think it is enough. The New Orleans Saints, well, this team has allowed an average of only 16 points a game scored on them. That's the 6th best in all of football. They are number 10 in stopping the run and number 5 in stopping the pass. Jacksonville, on the other hand, is a middle-of-the-pack D in every category, but really, should that matter? New Orleans simply does not score much. This Saints team has averaged 18 points a game, and they sit in the bottom half of the league in every single offensive category. The bottom line here is I want to and have bet every New Orleans game under this season already. As for the Jags, they have not been able to light it up all year, and they can't break into the top 10 in any offensive category. They have averaged 24 points a game. That's middle of the pack. And they're mediocre in running and passing. They also haven't really played great defense this season, but again, does that matter against New Orleans? The only game the Jags have allowed more than 21 points was their second game against Houston, and that game was a bunch of mishaps. It was a phony score. If Kansas City can only put up 17 on Jacksonville and Atlanta can only put up 7, why would we think the New Orleans Saints are going to put up more than, say, 13, 14, 17? We don't. Even if you give the Saints 17 points, I don't see the Jags scoring more than 21. I think a 20-17 game sounds very reasonable. And of course, we have the Thursday night under factor involved. Plus, who knows how healthy Trevor Lawrence is, and he's really the key to that Jags machine. I never overthink things, guys. I never look for bookmaker traps. I take what they give me. We're getting a decent line here. We're going to take the under. Jacksonville and New Orleans under 39.5. Now, before we get into the next 3 games, I've got 4 for you on this show, I do want to mention what happened last week. Across all 3 of my videos, all my plays, I went 9-6 combined for you guys. My record this season in every play I've released on these NFL Presidential Address is an amazing, incredible, superb, stupendous 49 wins and 32 losses. Those are incredible numbers. My clients had a bad week last week, my first bad Sunday in 5 weeks of NFL, but that's okay. We're going to get right back on the horse. I've got a great card lined up for this coming weekend, including a couple of ATS bets. Guys, I am legitimately 26-11 in my client ATS bets since the beginning of last NFL season. That's over 70% win rate in all against the spread bets. I have 2 of them for this Sunday for my clients, so make sure to grab that package. Okay, let's move on. Atlanta and Tampa Bay. Well, you know where I'm going with all of this. Last night when I wrote this out, it was 39.5. Well, they must have jumped into my head because everybody wants to know what the Prez thinks. Now the number is 38. Is that too low? No, we're going to the under again. I've been saying for weeks that Desmond Ridder is not an NFL QB, and boy, is he proving me right. After seeing Smith's reaction to Ridder's botching the game with an interception in the end zone, I have to think that the Atlanta Falcons are going to run the ball even more than they normally run the ball. In the Falcons' last 4 games, they have put up a grand total of 16 points, 21 points, 7 points, and a mighty 6. Those are god-awful numbers. As for the Bucs, they have put up 6 points, 26 points, and 11 points in their last 3 games, and they were barely able to move the ball against the Lions last week. Atlanta is 2-8 to the under in their last 10 games. Tampa Bay is 4-6 to the under in their last 10. Both these D units are in the top half of the league in allowing points, with Tampa Bay allowing an average of 17 points, and the Falcons have only allowed 20 points per game. The Falcons also have the 4th best run defense in football. Now, while Tampa Bay has the 4th worst run offense in football, this is a team that will just not give up on the run. Now, normally when you have the 4th best defense on the field, you're not 4th best rush defense on the field, you're not going to look to take the under. You're going to assume that the opposing team will give up on the run and start throwing the ball. In this case, Tampa Bay never gives up on the run, and Tampa Bay has problems throwing the ball. Their 3rd down completion percentage, terrible. This is not a scenario that I am scared of. Here is what we know. We know both teams, regardless of strengths and weaknesses, are going to try run the ball as much as possible. We know neither coach has confidence in their QB and will likely not take deep shots. We know that both defenses are in the top half of the league, and we know that both these teams play to the under. Ladies and gentlemen, take Atlanta and Tampa Bay under the total of 38. Now we turn our attention to Cleveland going into Indianapolis. And when I wrote this play up, the line was 39.5. It is now 39. We are seeing money come in on the under. And, well, I get it. Here we go again. Another under for me. And again, I am baffled why this line is not lower. I had this game set at 37. Let's start with Cleveland and their electric defense. They've played 5 games so far this season, and 2 of those 5, almost half, they held opponents to a field goal. Do you think Indianapolis's offense is better than Tennessee's or Cincinnati? I don't. This Cleveland D held the 49ers. The 49ers had not scored less than 30 points all year. They held them to 17. Do you think Indianapolis is a better offense than the Niners? I know, a rhetorically stupid question. I get that this Indy team has scored more than 20 points a game. They averaged 23. But many of those games were with Richardson at QB, and frankly, I don't see how Indy puts up more than 17 at best this week. When you look at the Cleveland offense, they're in the bottom half of the league in points gained, only 19 per game, but most importantly are the 3rd worst passing team in all of football. This makes sense. As well, Deshaun Watson is not playing very well, and this is a team that defines themselves by running the ball. As for Indy, now that Taylor is back and the stash is playing QB, they're going to run the ball all game long. Last week, they watched Minshew throw bad interception after bad interception. They're going to roll out an extremely conservative game plan. So here we have 2 teams that will run the ball, 2 teams that will play conservatively, and 1 team that has probably the best defensive unit in the entire league. I can't see this game being anywhere near the over. 2017 is the maximum score that this will happen in this game, and that is exactly what my power ratings suggest. And even at 20-17, we still have 2 points to spare. Take Cleveland and Indianapolis under the total. Now, the last game on the card, Green Bay versus Denver. Green Bay finds themselves around -1.5. The total has been bet down from 45 to 44.5. And yes, we're going with the under. 45 points. How is this total 45 points? This just makes no sense. Is this total 45 because Denver's defense has been so bad this entire year? Yeah, they are the worst in the league by far. Yes, they've allowed an average of 33 points per game. Keep in mind, one of those games was 70 points against Miami. Sure, they have the third worst pass D in all of football, but, and there is a big but, they got some key defenders back last week. They played against Kansas City, and it showed. Their D finally played well, and they held Kansas City to only 19 points. And frankly, it was more like 16 points if you exclude that late field goal off of a turnover. Either way, it's not like Green Bay is some scoring juggernaut, that's for sure. They are struggling to get touchdowns. They have gone quarter after quarter without even a score. They've gone 8 quarters in a row this season with putting up zilch. Last week, Green Bay scored 13 points on Las Vegas. Before that, 20 on Detroit. Before that, 18 on New Orleans. The only big game they've had was their first game. They put up 38 against Chicago. That number was phony. The Green Bay offense is not very good, and they likely won't be very good for a while. Furthermore, they want to run the ball, and they've only averaged 200 yards a game in the air. As for the Broncos, Russell Wilson has maybe 2 to 3 flashes of an actual QB per game, and frankly is one of the worst quarterbacks in football for the last 1.5 years. Give up, Russ. You're done. Quit. Call it a day. You got your ring. You got your money. You got your girl. Move on. Last week, this piss poor team put up 8 points on Kansas City. And keep in mind, those 8 points came in like the last 5 minutes of the game. Before that, they put up absolutely nothing. Let me bottom line this. I don't believe in the Denver offense. I don't believe in the Green Bay offense. I do believe in Green Bay's defensive unit. And as for Denver's defensive unit, well, the jury is not out yet as they are finally healthy. 44.5? If this game was 24-20, that goes under. How the hell is this game going to get to 24-20? Which team is putting up 24 points? Let's not overthink this. Take Green Bay and Denver under the total. That's it for the NFL Presidential Address. Just to summarize, I gave out 4 unders on this show: Jacksonville, New Orleans, Atlanta, Tampa Bay, Cleveland, Indianapolis, and Green Bay and Denver. In the next NFL Presidential Address, we're going to look at 4 side bets. We're going to take apart the Buffalo-New England game, the Detroit-Baltimore game, the LA Chargers and Kansas City game, and the Washington Commanders versus the New York Giants. Guys, thanks so much for watching. It's been a pleasure doing this. Make sure to check out part 2. I'm the Prez. We'll see you on the next video.